$2.9 million to 4 million to 9 million to 10.
Honor, privilege, and a pleasure. Class is in session, and I am joined by a true professor, the CEO of the Forbidden Knowledge Institute, conglomerate, all that is. He's a best-selling author, educator, CEO, mogul, and I would say transmuter of the ancestors and that ancestral energy, the one and only Billy Carson, man. That's
Thank you, brother.
Truly a pleasure and an honor. Been a follower of your movement for quite some time, and I think we just got to start, from the origin. And this, I was probably introduced to you through the Forbidden Knowledge platform. How did all of that come about?
Well, I was, a very long time ago, I was already into the knowledge. I'm talking about going back into, believe it or not, 1977. That's when I first started studying. Because I saw something in my backyard that didn't make any sense fly across my backyard, and I went to the library, Rainbow Park Elementary, and I got all the Encyclopedia Britannicas on aerospace. That started me down a rabbit hole of studying technologies that I couldn't find what I saw in the sky, but I got really intrigued by the technologies, and I started getting into swept wing, delta wing, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and all different types of hovercrafts and everything else. And it took me into black budget projects. And then that over the years, just combining and gaining all this knowledge on all those topics that a lot of people really didn't care about. And then eventually leading me into ancient civilizations, because I saw a tie between ancient civilizations and technology. And so around 2006 or 7 is when I really started doing online forums about ancient civilizations and technology and the link between the two. And it got bigger and bigger, but I was running into some stumbling blocks because those sites kept getting hacked or pinged down, DOS attack, denial of service attacks. And so by the time I got to like 1,200,000 subscribers on YouTube, the account got deleted then. That went down too. And I was like, damn, everything going down. So I took about a year off from it, and I just waited. And then as people seemed like they were getting, more open to topics and so forth, I got another forum going. And I started posting more stuff, and it started gaining a lot of popularity again. I changed my name to Forbidden Knowledge. I said, let me just put Forbidden Knowledge on it. No face, no nothing at first. Just a logo of the Eye of Horus from Egypt. And then it grew and grew and grew. Eventually, I got to the point where TV, networks were calling me, the Travel Channel, Discovery Channel, History Channel, Science Channel. And then so I said I need to put my face on it. So then I changed it to my face. But around 2011,
lo and behold, it's a black man.
Well, that's what happened. No, the shock was crazy. The first day that I put my face on my account and I went live, everyone went crazy. And a lot of black people were like, you hacked this account. This ain't your account. This belongs to an Asian person. I'm like,
you know too much to be a black man.
I said, this is my account, man. So it was a little bit of a process to just get everybody acclimated to who I really was. But then everything kind of really fell in line, and the people really were resonating with a lot of the information I was putting out.
So and now it's a conglomerate. It truly is an empire in what you built, like everything from a record label, a publishing company, a speaking and touring process. I mean, when you think about from where you started to where you are, just even as a businessman, I mean, it's quite impressive. And I mean, I would allow you to spit a few of the statistics and what you built, but it's pretty impressive.
Thank you. I mean, when I started, I literally jumped out of another company I was running. I had started marketing companies a long time ago, and that was my main thing, was marketing, street marketing, because this is before the internet. And I built a company into a huge multi-million-dollar company in marketing. And then I got out of that and got into the internet in 1997 when it first started, and started doing websites for companies. Nobody had websites, so I was doing very well with that. Built that into a multi-million-dollar company, and then got acquired by Glowbench Systems, and then that got acquired by the Amber Alert company, and I walked away with a few $1 million and took some years off. Then after that, I just spent 7 years coaching U.S. Junior Olympics, AAU basketball, training my kids, building sports programs in my community.
That's awesome.
Did pretty well. 15 gold medals.
Wow.
Did pretty good. And had a high 80% win rate in the one of the largest programs in the state of Florida for women's basketball. $12 million in scholarships later, I decided to go back to work.
That's a movie right there.
So I had a big call center that was running at the time, 5,000 square foot call center, 50 people working there, and I decided that this wasn't my passion. Doing about 125,000 a week, not bad money, okay money
at all,
you know. But I was like, so I walked away. I went to my partner and said, "Look, you guys take my share of the company. I got to follow my passion because I'm doing it part time and it's not fulfilling me." And so they understood. I walked away from the company. I jumped full time into Forbidden Knowledge. Wow. I didn't monetize it for 7 years. I didn't monetize until 2017.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So this is a fresh new business.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
2017 is when I formed the corporation, but I didn't monetize. When I felt like I had a significant enough following, then I monetized. The first year was $180,000
wow.
in revenue gross.
Right. You was making that a week.
Yeah, I know, right? it was a big,
but even that's still impressive.
Yeah, just from social media.
You know? 6-figure salary off of social media.
Yeah, by myself too.
Right.
No help, no team at this point, no nothing.
Right.
But then it went from 180 to 450,000 to $1.9 million to 2.9 million to 4 million to 9 million to 10 million.
Yeah.
So it just.
Well, congratulations, man. Like I said, it's quite impressive. I mean, definitely want to dive into the knowledge, but I wanted to dive into the man first. I mean, because I feel like they coincide, man. And like I said, your story inspiring to most. But I mean, you have your critics as well.
Oh yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? Or people, they call you a pseudo philosopher, a pseudo scientist. They say you spreading misinformation.
Yeah.
How do you combat those accusations? And then at the same time, do they even matter? Because that I feel like if someone truly follows your path and in your journey, you're not really. Yeah. You don't care.
Right. At first, it used to get to me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, at first, because I would see the human brain is triggered to isolate negativity,
right?
Because it wants to protect the body, it wants to protect you. Wow. So you can have 1,000 positive comments and 3 negative comments. Those are going to stand out more than the positive comments. And so when I really dug into the psychiatry behind it, I realized that by getting upset about what they're posting or what their opposition is to what I'm talking about is ridiculous. I'm punishing myself and I'm actually hurting myself. They're not hurting me.
Wow.
What they're doing is I'm actually feeding their energy. Yep. So when I realized that they were energy vampires, is when I flipped my whole way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because what happens is they actually, open up the phone, they write a negative comment on a post that I made, right? And what happens? That information they typed in is digitized and rides a microwave signal to the cell tower, bounces up to a satellite, bounces down to my area, goes through my cell tower on a microwave frequency, goes to my device lights up, a photon hits my retina, and what happens? It triggers something in my mind to make me want to respond. Now I've transferred my energy back into the device and it goes back to them through the same method.
Right.
When they see the light up and they see I responded, they actually get joy. I got pain, they got joy.
Wow.
From an energy exchange.
Wow.
When I realized that, I said, why would I do that again? So that's when I realized, don't do that.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I would love for you to expound on that, just based off of. I'm a true believer of the same thing, where instead of even looking at any response as, oh, I'm gonna allow that to negatively affect me, I just thank them for their energy.
Yeah.
In that sense of like, you sent it my way.
Right.
Regardless if it's a love comment or a hate comment, you still gave me your energy.
Yeah.
And energy is a currency, as I know you believe. So I was like, all right, well, if I got no matter what this energy is, what I do with it is truly the power. Right.
Alchemy.
Yeah.
You got to convert it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, again, I don't want to get too deep too quick, but I mean, I love your perspective. I love your outlook on life in itself. But for someone who has so much wisdom and so much knowledge, I mean, how on a day-to-day, how do you function in this realm? You know what I mean? In this dimension, when you're so aware of all the other dimensions and the power of our energy and everything that's going around, the minuscule things that happen that we seem to feel important. How do you balance that to where you still give, attention to those things, but you also understand the greater gifts of the world?
Yeah, there's
the universe.
There's different levels. So there's dimensions within dimensions. There's dimensions of understanding within this same dimension.
Right.
So when I begin to see things like, for example, we just talking about trolls and haters, right?
Yeah.
I recognize them as children, children in the spirit.
Right.
because a person could be 20 years old and be ancient,
right?
And a person could be 70 years old and be a brand newborn in the spirit in this dimension. They could be here for the first or second time.
Wow.
So I begin to recognize these people and see them as children. And so what would you do to your child when they make a mistake? You just have empathy for them and try to correct them. And that's about it. You know, I'm not a violent parent, so I never beat my kids.
Right.
So I just see them as, okay, they're just, they're young-minded. They're still developing. And so that gave me a lot of peace and solace. And then also looking at a lot of the little tiny things that are going on, I see them. They're all in my visuals. However, I just handpick the things that I want to isolate and maybe talk about or disseminate to the people. But on the grand scheme of things, I see a much bigger picture.
Right.
You know, and that bigger picture for me is the connectedness to not only this universe, but the connectedness to the multiverse.
Right.
And everything is so grand, but the beautiful thing about it is we're all connected to everything that exists throughout the entire multiverse through energy. So on the grand scale, my mind is always off in tangents, thinking about different things going on. Can I contact another version of myself on another planet in another universe? I mean, those are the things I'm thinking about while people are thinking about what they're going to eat for lunch.
Right.
But you know, at the end of the day, I am able to bring myself down and relate because I've been poor. I grew up in the ghetto.
Right.
I had holes in my shoes, 2 pairs of pants. I used to bleach my pants and then dye them with Ritz dye. So people thought I had multiple colors of pants so I wouldn't get picked at in school.
Wow.
The last pair of shoes my mom bought me were a pair of McGregor football cleats with the rubber nubs on the bottom to go to school as my school shoes.
Wow.
Because they were $5 at Kmart.
Wow.
So I came up, you know, in a very poor situation. So I can relate to the poor person. I can relate to the person that's in the hood in the ghetto. I had to sell my toys door to door to get money for the ice cream truck when I was 7. And when I did that, I realized I was going to save myself. I said to myself out loud, oh, it's me that's going to save me. If I think about something and act on it, I'm going to manifest my own reality. And so I can relate to the people at every single level, from the broke level to a working man's level, because I did that too, you know, doing stock and groceries and all that, to the scientist level. You know, I've studied all those courses and passed those courses, and I can relate to those people too. So on every different level, I can relate. So it gives me the ability to bring myself down, and get into a level where I can really conversate with somebody.
Right. So obviously here at Cannon's Class, this is a educational platform, and it's somewhat rooted in the space of academia, where you don't have the traditional degrees and accreditations, but like you said, you have all of that knowledge and information for someone who, like to yourself, like exactly what you said, may not be able to afford the academic journey that, you know, America and even, you know, sometimes the rest of the world deems as the process of intelligence or the measurement of intellect, but still one wants this information and knowledge, and then once they obtain it, what to do with it when you don't have, you know, all of those certificates that get you into all of the into the cool clubs. One, how do you balance that? And then what would be your advice for someone who has followed you, who has read your books and has all of this information, but doesn't have the college degrees or the PhDs to back it up? So a lot of people then look at them as, you know, like I said, crazy or, you know, conspiracy theorists and stuff. But again, they're studying just as hard. They just don't have, you know, the amount of money to enter these institutions.
Right. Well, they don't. There's a lot of places to get knowledge now. We're living in the age of information. So ignorance is a choice. And so I went to Khan University, KHAN University online. At the time, it was free. I took quantum physics there. Now it's, I think, $4 a month, some ridiculously low amount of money. I took courses at MIT in applied neuroscience. I think I spent anywhere between $8,000 or $9,000, and I had to finish this before the whole global sickness that happened. So I had to finish my courses there in the school. So my expenses were traveling there and getting an Airbnb and all of that.
So you actually went to the institute,
the physical institute, and then I took an online course from Harvard in ancient civilizations. So I have a certificate in applied neuroscience, a certificate from Harvard and ancient civilizations, but those are not diplomas or 4-year degrees or master's degrees or PhDs. But they help give you knowledge for a very low cost, and add a little bit something to your bio, so people maybe can.
So that you do see value in those institutes and those spaces. Okay,
there was some value there. They gave me the quantum physics course at Khan University. Gave me a lot of insight, answered a lot of questions, gave me a lot of confirmation on my own theories that I already had. And I was able to build on that. And so then, of course, we have now the internet. Back then, I had the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Right.
So my biggest blessing was when I was young, after I had that incident when I went to the school, the next week, an encyclopedia salesman came to my house and brought a whole set. This is, in the 70s. There's no Google back then. No cable TV either.
Right.
And my mother got the set, and the guy told her you had to pay, I think, $30 or whatever a month, but he never came back. And I had this whole set, and I would do book reports on every topic and all of those. My dad would make me do book reports.
Wow.
And so I developed reading comprehension, and those became my study guides for economics, ecology, anthropology, ancient civilizations, aerospace technology, science, physics, all of those things. I was studying like a madman, and I was producing these book reports on them every single week.
Right.
So that means that the knowledge is already readily available for anyone to achieve any level. The degree means nothing. Like, for example, the person who created the first course for quantum physics didn't have a degree.
Right.
Where's his degree at, or her degree at? Right. But they taught it. And then somebody eventually, you're accredited now. We're going to give you a piece of paper saying you did this for me, with me. So for people who are out there just trying to gain knowledge and wisdom, I wrote a book called Fractal Holographic Universe. It's #1 in fractal mathematics, #1 in quantum theory, and #4 in science and philosophy, ahead of Michio Kaku.
Wow.
And I don't have a quantum physics PhD.
You just said a whole bunch of stuff I do not understand.
So I have a science book. I have a book that's an encyclopedia, which reached #1 on Amazon the first week.
Wow.
And I have an ancient civilizations book that's been #1 for 5 years.
Yeah.
So the fact is, we have the knowledge at our fingertips now. These cell phones, these computers.
Right.
We have the internet. We have these online courses that are available from various different schools now that are very, very inexpensive. If somebody says, "Look, I'm going to stop going to a club and and stop smoking weed for X amount of weeks," you can buy a course and gain some knowledge. Of course, then I have classes that I teach on my TV network too.
Right.
So somebody can subscribe to Forbidden Knowledge TV. It's an app on the App Store. It's a 5-star app with over 100,000 downloads now on Apple and Google.
Wow. And
they can literally go in there and get 10-hour classes from me. I have an Egyptian mystery school, which is into the mystery sciences. That's 39 episodes, 36 hours of teaching.
Right.
That they can go in there and watch that whole course for $8.
Yeah.
So there's knowledge everywhere.
So, I mean, obviously you said there's knowledge everywhere, and we're currently living in the age of information, but we're shifting into the age of intuition. With the age of information reaching its peak, we will all have all the knowledge that we want, whether it's, through, a device, whether it's through AI, whatever, it's going to be an even playing field of information, the things that you have studied from encyclopedias and the courses and all of that stuff. Now, like you said, you can deliver it to somebody in an amount of hours, which I believe, as the future progresses, it'll be a matter of minutes to a matter of seconds.
For real.
And we can have it and have access to it and do whatever we want to do with it. So I would love for you to expound on the importance of, okay, we got the information, but now what are we going to do with it as we step into the intuition, which intuition truly is real wisdom. You know what I mean? Regardless of whatever the scenario is, to make the right decision and not the wrong decision, and trusting your inner spirit. A lot of people don't know how to do that and get to it, but I would love for you to touch on the process of, okay, now we all got the information. What are we going to do?
Right. Well, I think where people start to get lost is they think that knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. I can have all the knowledge that I've studied from all these years. Hold on. Excuse me there. I can have all the knowledge that I studied from all these years. And if it's just in my head, circling around my head over and over again, and I don't apply any of it to anything, it serves humanity zero. Nothing. There's no service to humanity. There's no service to myself. I'm just holding on to information. But if once I begin to take that knowledge and actually begin to apply it, now it's got power. And so when it comes to intuition, it's okay, there's a synchronicity between knowledge and the application of knowledge and intuition. So, for example, if there's information that I've gathered that is telling me one thing, but my intuition is telling me that there's another piece of the puzzle that goes along with this to make it a full picture, and I don't listen to my gut, my intuition, and then look into that a little deeper or ask questions about this particular thing that I gained some knowledge on so that I can put the other parts together and act on it in the appropriate way, I can send myself down the wrong path. I can make mistakes. I can put myself in bad business situations. I can do bad business deals. I can destroy my family. There's so many things you can do when you don't act on the intuition or connect the intuition to the knowledge that you've been able to gain. So what I do is I realize, okay, intuition is so powerful. It's a second brain, your gut brain, which is, it's sending signals and information. And a lot of people get that feeling and they ignore it and they let it pass. And then they go do what the masses wanted them to do, or what they think people want them to do, not what they feel that they should actually be doing.
Group think.
Yes, exactly. And people have to sit down and take a good look at themselves and figure out what they really want and what decision is best for them. What I do in a lot of these situations, I read these ancient tablets and the Sumerian tablets, right? There's Epic of Gilgamesh, the Epic of Atrahasis, the Enuma Elish, and all these ancient tablets. These people some of them call themselves the ordainers of destiny. And what they would do, and I copied this method, they would envision a future that they wanted to see unfold. And they would vision all the possibilities that can happen based on making decisions now at that moment. And when they isolated the one that they actually wanted to bring into their reality, the one they felt intuitively or was the one that they wanted, they would then put action steps to go after that particular future outcome.
Right.
And then they would use their gut intuition based on what can potentially happen and what they can do on the side, leading or pushing or nudging the timeline in that path to achieve that goal.
Right.
So, now I look at things in the future. I see where I want to be, not 10, 5, 10, 20, 100, 200 years. What do I want my offspring, my bloodline, my future generations? I'm planning for thousands of years because that's what they did.
Wow.
And so when you start thinking with that mindset, your abundance is guaranteed. Decision making, yes, you'll still make mistakes here and there, but you significantly reduce the mistakes you're going to make based on that intuition and combined with knowledge, because you'll be in a situation where you'll solve problems before they happen. And a genius always solves problems before they happen.
Wow. So speaking of, there's a lot of genius conversations going on online that we see, and we see discourse and we see debates. You're involved in quite a few of them, whether it's about the sciences, whether it's about religion, whether it's about aliens. Right. I've seen a lot of them, but there's a few that get a lot of attention based off of the people who are speaking, and then also the subject matter. And we've seen specifically like Neil deGrasse Tyson, obviously is phenomenal in his process and all that he's built as a scientist. But then we see brothers like Terrence Howard, who are extremely popular, brilliant, genius as we speak, but they don't necessarily see things the same way. And we see each other debate. And like I said, I've seen you debate quite a few prominent individuals, but specifically in matters like that, as an audience, who should we trust in that process? Because to us, especially to the novice, it all sounds good. It all sounds impressive. You guys throwing numbers around and words we never heard of before. And it's like that the average audience member is going to just go with the person who's a little bit more charismatic or convincing,
that's facts,
opposed to the person who actually has the truth.
That's facts. Well, one thing I learned in dealing with knowledge is all of us bring a piece to the puzzle. Neil deGrasse Tyson brings a piece to the puzzle. Michio Kaku brings a piece to the puzzle. I bring a piece to the puzzle. You bring a piece to the puzzle. And so what's happening here is sometimes when you see these debates, it's really up to the person understanding to take what they can actually go and research. Figure out what part of the conversation is just conjecture or hypothesis, and what part of the conversation is potential facts that can be looked up and studied. And then put those studied points together so you can come up with your own hypothesis.
Right.
That's why I tell people, don't believe what I say, research what I say. Even on stage at investments, I said, you might not agree with everything I have to say. And guess what? That's okay.
You shouldn't. You're thinking.
It's okay. That's what it's supposed to be. You might come up with an idea or a concept or a hypothesis that make me go, oh man, you know what? I never thought of things that way. I never saw it that way. The thing with Terrence Howard, for example, brilliant mind, brilliant brother, self-taught in science. And then you have Neil deGrasse Tyson, conventionally taught in science. He's going to go with the textbook, science.
Right.
And because Terrence Howard didn't get it that mainstream way, his mind is going to be a little bit more creative and think outside the box. I had a chance to review a lot of his science and some of the actual inventions that were open source and recreated from the science in a private Zoom with him.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you something. Some of that stuff is real. It's working.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to partner with him and do some stuff with him on it.
Wow, wow.
So when the person starts talking and, oh, man, this guy sounds like he's crazy. I don't know what he's talking about. Some of the stuff he's saying is in metaphors. It's not that he's saying this is the way, like when he was saying 1 plus 1 times 1 is, or 0 times 1 is only 1 or whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
It's really a metaphor.
Right.
But outside of some of the things that he was talking about that people think is pseudoscientific, he has some real fundamental basis in science and real projects that have real potential.
Right.
And so, I look at Neil deGrasse, guy's phenomenal. I love his work.
Yeah.
I take knowledge from him all the time. And with Terran Howard, I think there's things that I can glean from his knowledge base as well, and we can share back and forth because we're out of the box thinkers.
Right.
And I think that if people started thinking outside of the box, this is where we're going to get a real huge advancement in science and spirituality. It can't just be science and spirituality separate. That two actually go together. And when we combine those two things together, we're going to see this civilization take off on a path that it's never seen before.
Wow, that's so well put. I mean, and obviously, like, we're all gonna have a different perspective. We're all gonna have our definition of what we believe the truth or what we know the truth to be. But I want you to talk a little bit more of even the science of a conversation or the science of debate when there's a skill to actually persuading people and getting them to go along with your message, which we've seen great leaders, world leaders, master. And I think there's a lot of that when, like you said, once you obtain the knowledge, that's one step. But to be able to, use the knowledge and articulate the knowledge is a whole nother path. And the average person doesn't really know how to do that effectively. You know what I mean? They can sit and read all of your books and take all of your courses. But if someone asks them a question, they're like, oh, man, I know I read it and I got to get the book. But there's some people who've never read a book in their lives, but they have this ability to convey information and at least their perspective in a way that it's like, wow, that was extremely convincing. And like, we know them all, you know what I mean? The good and the bad. That there's great orators and leaders who have taken society in many different directions just based off of the power of persuasion. Could you speak on that a little bit?
You have to understand the people that you're talking to. In other words, if I'm talking to a group, if I'm trying to reach Black people through my platform, right? I might, and I'm talking about religion, I might talk in a specific way. It's not that I'm pandering to them, but I understand that Black people, for the most part, need shock factor. If I'm going to start talking to Black people about religion and I'm trying to convince them and show them that potentially what they've been studying could be skewed a little bit by and have been copied from some ancient tablets and texts, and that what they're reading isn't exactly what they perceived it to be, that there's a lot more to it. I can't go, hey, guys, I want to tell you a little bit about something about religion and what you've been studying, and it's something wrong with it. Let me show you what this ancient tab. They don't want to hear that. I gotta come in and I gotta go hardcore. I'm gonna come in with energy, excitement. I'm gonna come in with shock factor. I'm gonna make bold statements that's gonna have them open their eyes and go, I gotta what this guy's crazy. Let me listen to what he got to say. And the crazier I sound to them, the more they want to listen. But then if I'm reaching to the European group, I'm gonna talk more soft, more gentle. I'm gonna be more proper.
Interesting.
I'm gonna come a little bit more fact-based and give, and so it's this dichotomy between the two, understanding
less pageantry.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to have a different cadence with the European versus the cadence I'm going to have with the Black group.
Interesting.
And I grew up in both worlds, so I can do both. So it's not like I'm faking it. I've done both. And so I grew up around predominantly white people. I grew up around predominantly Black people. I started off in the ghetto and then moved out when I was 16 and started moving towards different neighborhoods and just getting better and better and better. So I've been and doing business with, a lot of rich people. I have billionaires on my cell phone that I call, and we collaborate back and forth with different ideas and concepts and so forth. So I can reach both. And an orator, a great orator, understands the group that they're trying to reach. Like you see Kamala right now obviously she's gonna pander to Black people. And it just is what it is. It's not negative, I'm saying, but she's got a job that she's trying to fulfill. She's trying to win this office job. And so she's gonna talk about making collard greens in the bathtub like she talked about. She's gonna talk about, She's gonna have rappers show up at her her conference and dance on stage like she did.
Right.
I mean, it just is what it is. That's her trying to use the power of communication to reach a specific persuasion to reach a specific group of people. We understand that words have power. Words are spells.
Right.
That's why they call it spelling.
Right.
All right. So when you're speaking, you're trying to cast a spell, especially when you're talking to a group of people and trying to disseminate information or persuade them. You're trying to cast a spell on those people. I know it sounds dark, but it's an actual fact. When you pray, you're trying to cast a spell. You're trying to say words that are going to alter your reality, your future reality in the third dimension. Same thing when you're trying to persuade people. And so, but the problem is a lot of people don't know how to cast spells. They're not spellcasters. They just don't know the use of words, cadence, energy, exchange, eye contact, all those things. And so because of that, they don't get the result that they're looking for. But great orators, they study how to be orators, they study how to have cadence, they study how to, that's why I took applied neuroscience at MIT. It's all about understanding the consciousness of people and how to tap into it. I can go get a job at Coca-Cola if I wanted to, making $500,000 a year. They'll put me with the marketing team because I'm going to tell them how to burn that logo into people's brains and make them want to drink Coca-Cola. For example, if I wanted to do that, I wouldn't do that, of course, because it's poison. But either way, so understanding, but people have to see if they want to be a great orator or be a great disseminator of information and knowledge, they have to study how to do it, just like anything else.
Right.
You have to learn. If you're not great at it naturally, then you need to learn how to do it. And there are many books on it and many videos on it where people can begin to practice how to do that.
Right. So, and the only reason why I brought all of that up, because I think it gets to that, back to that space of religion and even the sciences, because ultimately most of that was presented to control people.
Yeah.
And usually whoever had the information and delivered the information to the masses the best had the most followers.
That's facts.
So, and the fact where, when we break it down, like you said, whether you're delivering this information to a European community or African community, the best storytellers, the Jegnas, the leaders, the griots within these communities, they have to have that ability to lead people, not necessarily with facts. As we look up into the stars and we create stories based off of the process and the solstice and the the weather, people believe these men to be men of magic or great men of wisdom, and alchemists,
prophets, or whatever,
prophets, or even the most illuminated individuals. When those people deliver information, the masses tend to follow. Why is that? You know what I mean? And does it all root to creativity? The person who is the most creative actually is the one who is the most godlike.
Well, when people look at, people are designed to be tribal. The human race is designed to be tribal.
Why?
Well, it's just, and if you look back in the ancient tablets, it was already set from even back then.
For civilization. The more we gather together, the more we can keep our lineage going.
Like, for example, really quickly, I built an underground base, in Northwest Georgia.
Really?
And it was on the History Channel.
Oh, wow.
It's called Fort Terra Nova. It's even got an Instagram page.
Okay.
And it's about the size of 3 Walmarts underground.
Wow. Okay.
360 people can go down there and live for a year off the grid, totally off the grid, 100%.
Wow.
And
why'd you build that?
Well,
just because of the thing, some things that we don't know. Some things coming.
So it's it's a place you can go be safe in case of a local, regional, or global disaster.
Okay.
And
so we all should be doing and following your footsteps and building some underground Walmarts.
But the reason why I built it, at first I was going to build one for my family only.
Okay.
And then I was talking to a friend of mine who was in the military and who actually lived in an underground base that was built by this company, which I used. And he said, well, you need more people. You need a team. You can't do it by yourself. And plus the style, the design you have is not good. It has corners. It's going to crack. It's going to let in argon gas and all this stuff. So I went and got Radius Engineering, and we then came and built a dome structure underground. He built something for the U.S. military. Oliver North was his contact person at the time. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I realized I needed people who had talents. I need a person who can run a turbine diesel engine. I need a person that can teach. I need a person that can cook, a person that can do, that can be, training. We have a person that can run the hydroponics farm and all these things. It's a lot of work. So you know, in a tribe, you have different people that have different skills that they bring to the table to make that community work. Right. It's a functioning community. Everyone that's in that's on my list of people to be in there in case of a disaster, all bring something to the table. There's nobody just freeloading, right? So, and that's why tribes are important, because a tribe, the people are going to bring something to the table. Now, within that tribe, for whatever reason, the majority of people, I would say probably 90% of people, are always looking to be told what to do. And we know that through marketing. I've had marketing companies for decades. People need to be told what to do. And if you tell them what to do, subliminally or directly, they will follow suit. So once a person rises above that level that they're at, and you know, I don't want to call it the sheep level, but it's almost a sheep level, really, is what it is. Yeah. A person rises above that, they see that person as something more than even them. A person with more charisma, more energy, more knowledge, more wisdom, that is more courage and less fearful. Right. They're going to gravitate towards that person, and that person will then naturally become the leader of that group.
Wow. That's powerful in that sense, to where, going back to, you know, the leaders of the tribes. Yeah. And then the information that one believes, because like I said, greatest wars in the world are really fought based off of a difference of opinion.
Really, that's all it is. And exactly what it is.
And you get to a space, so hopefully you can find common ground, and we can all coexist. How do you feel about people who, not necessarily haters, but that just don't agree with you? Yeah. Like they don't, you know, whether it's agnostics, atheists, or the, you know, people who are super duper religious and believe, you know, only the word of the King James Bible, right, and everything after that is of the devil. You know, there's people who have called you demonic. There's people who, and it's based off of their truth.
Yes,
you know, if you know, if, because you know the truth is, no man coming to the Father but through me. I'm the way, the truth, and the light. There's people who walk in that only, and it has worked for them. So everything that you're discussing, they don't want to hear any of it.
It scares them.
And it's looked at, it's literally that the way certain religions are set up, if you don't believe what they believe, you're demonic.
Yes, facts.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so first of all, I love everybody. And I do believe there's a God, because the quantum physics proves that there's a God. I talk about this in my newest book. And so the science has led me to believe that there is one. And I've been studying this Bible and doing book reports on the Bible since the age of 3 years old.
Wow.
I can give you all the verses, all the quotes.
You sound like Cat Williams now.
Listen, no, my dad, listen, this is why I dedicated my financial book to my dad. Yeah. Once he recognized I had a good memory, he just started taking me to these bars in the 70s and put me up on top of the bar countertops and having me reciting
entertainment.
Listen, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Freestyle rap and spit Bible scriptures.
Right. I mean, listen, I go, you know, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not. I give you all these prayers and verses off the top of my dome, because I did them so many times.
Right.
And so, you know, just doing that, it became a part of me, and understanding like, okay, well, there's something here, but at the same time, because I studied it so well, I recognized a lot of discrepancies that didn't make any sense to me before I came across the ancient tablets, and saw that they were copied from ancient tablets that were thousands of years prior. You know, just a lot like the book of Deuteronomy, for example. It's all about killing and murdering, but the God in that book that's giving the orders to kill is a singular term when it should be plural. When you translate it to the real original language, it's gods with an S.
Right.
And that means it's multiple people sending out people to go fight these wars against each other and kill. And then they're saying, kill women, kill children, kill babies, and bring the spoils of war back to me. I knew as a kid, why does God need spoils of war? He's omnipotent and omniscient. Why does he need spoils of war? Why does children got to die so he can have money or riches or whatever is there? So I knew, but I have grown up with Christians, you know, Buddhists. I mean, you name all the different religions, Hindus. And I have friends right now in my neighborhood that are, one is a hardcore Christian who's married to a woman who's in Islam. Okay? Oh, wow. He's white and she's black.
Wow.
And they were at my wedding. I only had a handful of people at my wedding. I got married in Bora Bora.
Wow.
They were there.
Okay.
They were there. And so I've got people that I know, people that are atheists, people that are super spiritual, even beyond my level of spirituality beliefs. You know, I mean, like way out there. So I've got this culmination of people that I you know, collaborate with and work with and see on a daily basis. Some of them watch my kid when I go out of town.
Wow.
And so I don't have any ill feeling towards anybody. I feel like that's their truth and that's where they're at. And if they ask me questions, I'll continue to try to educate them on what I believe or show them the way that I feel it is. But at the same time, they see on my videos, they see me online. Every time you turn anything on, I'm on the screen.
Right.
You can't get away from me now.
Yeah.
And so, it's just an accepted understanding. Like, we agree to disagree, but I still love you as my brother and my sister, and we're still gonna be friends. And like I said, I had a Muslim and a hardcore Bible thumping Christian at my wedding,
who are a married couple,
right? Who are married when one's white and one's black. So, I mean, come on, the perception of people out there is that this guy's crazy, but I'm actually not crazy. I love everyone, and I've helped a lot of people who are Bible thumping Christians. I bought them houses,
right?
People who are heavy into whatever Islam, and didn't have any money. I bought them cars, and I spread the love as much as I can. A lot of stuff doesn't even get publicized,
Right.
But we spread the love as much as we can. We try to help everybody, and my message is out there for people who are ready to receive it and ready to go to the next level with their knowledge.
Wow. So you use the term, and we all hear it quite a bit. The term "crazy."
Yeah.
It's been thrown at me. It's been thrown at you. But I don't see it as an insult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times it's just saying that we're not participating in group think.
Right.
We're not, whatever society deems as normal or ordinary, our process is extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I look at that as a compliment, but a lot of times we even heard like my brother Dave Chappelle expressed it and explained it very eloquently. When you call someone crazy, you're throwing them away. So when that term is thrown at you, how do you process it?
Now I'm so mute to it. I'm so immune to it. I'm numb. So it's really that.
Like I said, I wear it as a badge of honor.
I just see it as when people say crazy, I think they called Albert Einstein crazy.
Right. Yeah.
They called Mandelbrot, Benoit Mandelbrot crazy, who came up, not invented, but he discovered the Benoit Mandelbrot formula, which is the formula for fractal mathematics, which drives everything we have today in animation.
Right.
And they thought he was crazy. Dr. Bruce Lipton, 25 years ago, he learned about epigenetic memories, and he said that they pass down from 15 to 20 generations in the human body. From ancestors, memories are in your body, and you can act on those and actually relive that through depression and anxiety and all these. And his own peers in science scoffed at him and almost had him kicked out.
Yeah.
And now it's taught in universities.
Yeah.
And they called him crazy. Dr. Daniel Amen, who did my SPECT scan for my brain injury I had from a car accident.
Amen.
Yeah, you love Dr. Amen, phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
They death threats for him and everything else when he started doing SPECT scans instead of giving out pharmaceutical medicine.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? They called him crazy.
Yeah.
And so, matter of fact, we gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award at my award show last year. And so the people that they're calling crazy, so far, I've seen a lot of crazy people that are doing phenomenal things in the world.
Yeah. They say all the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world actually do it.
Facts.
So in that sense, I mean, obviously, because I feel like we can't get all of this